Magic the Gathering has been around a long time, but does that make it a collectible? Hi everyone, welcome back. MTG Moxman here, and if you're new to my channel, you've somehow found me out there in the nacho cheese universe of YouTube. Thanks a lot for checking out this content today. For all my regular viewers, welcome back everyone. A great conversation topic today. Is Magic really collectible? Are we wasting our time and money? Does it really have value we can, count on in the future? It's a great question. And there's a lot of people who ask this question all the time saying Magic should be cheap. It shouldn't have any real massive value. It's a game first. But there's other people who collect the reserve list, people who have got lots of money tied up in these cards. What? Don't look behind me. You don't know what's behind me. Guys, it's worth a lot of money. Okay? To some people. Other people just want to play the game. So does it really fit that definition of a collectible? Do you remember this? A couple of years ago, this is called a Hatchimal. My son asked for this. It came in a 2-pack. It was like $110. It's a Hatchimal. He's never touched it since Christmas Day. This is a fad. Magic's not a fad. Come on. It's gone past the 1-year mark. It's gone past the 5-year mark, the 10-year mark. We know it's not a fad. It's been around a long time. Okay? But does it fit the definition? Well, let's take a look at that definition. What is a collectible? Well, a collectible refers to an item that is worth far more than it was originally sold for because of its rarity and/or popularity. The price for a particular collectible usually depends on how many of the same items are available, as well as its overall condition. Common categories of collectibles include antiques, toys, coins, comic books, and stamps. People who amass collectibles take a lot of time to collect them and usually store them in locations where they will not be ruined. Not be ruined. Like a reinforced steel-plated door. Massive amounts behind me, but that says more than you originally paid. More than you originally paid. Focus on that for a second. More than you originally paid. So, Dungeons and Dragons Forgotten Realms collector box. $295.95. Okay? Let's just say $330 with tax. So for this to be considered collectible by definition, it's got to sell for more than $330. So basically, any new set in Magic that is a sealed product is not a collectible yet. It's just a product. To make it collectible, it's got to sell for more than it was originally worth. Okay. So if you start looking Magic cards from 20 years ago that went for $2 and now they're worth $2,000. And those cards that are worth $2,000 have now had time to grow in value, to get where they need to be worth money. But the original products we saw this year, like Dungeons and Dragons for $139 Canadian, if you're buying and selling at $139, that's not collectible yet. That is still a product, right? But if you bought a $5 pack of cards and you sold a card in there for $20, let's say a Tiamat went for $20, and you average all those cards out, that pack had a collectible card in it, but most of the other cards in there were commons, uncommons, or junk rares that were worth nothing and never will be. Just because there's a massive game out there doesn't mean every piece of it is collectible. There's a lot of us who collect the old reserve list cards, and people make fun of you saying they're not worth anything. They'll never be worth anything. But remember what it says by definition of a collectible. What you bought it for and the condition of that card and how many are available. Well, you ever notice that some of the big whales out there have made those cards disappear? They've gone from the market, making the availability lower and driving up prices. That by definition makes something collectible because they're hoarding the cards. The same can be said for any of the cards available if you could buy enough of them. If I had the money and I said, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to spend $1 million just buying the Biblioplex because I like that card. And I start buying them up en masse. I make them disappear from the market. And then I decide to burn 3/4 of them. I say I'm going to burn every card but 10 that I own. Does that mean those 10 cards are now super valuable because the rest got burned? It's a great question. But that's basically what happens with reserve list cards, right? They age in time. Boxes that we're talking about, when people ask me, how do you know D&D is going to be worth money? How do you know, Moxman, that Dungeons & Dragons is going to be a hit? I looked at a number of factors before I determined if it was worth buying. Number one, how was it received? It wasn't received well. That's not such a bad thing. How many were put into production? Now, there's quite a few out there. But judging how people didn't like the product, that means if they don't like the product, they don't buy it. It sits on a store shelf. If it sits on a store shelf, we go back to the distributor who doesn't order anymore from Wizards. Wizards sees it's not doing well, cuts production early, goes out. See how it goes backwards? Now, the available amount of stock is very limited. Even if it's tens of thousands of boxes, it's very limited compared to what could have been put into production on, say, a busier set like Throne of Eldraine. So if that happens, that box will be driven up in value faster than others. A great example is Dominaria. So think about that as a collectible. Now, with collectibles, there are advantages and disadvantages to them. They really are. We get the enjoyment. We get that ability, but liquidity can be a problem. Look at the definition here that they offer up from Investopedia. Advantages in investing collectibles allows you to collect things that you are passionate about. Well, most of us can say that about Magic. Items can be passed down to future generations. Yeah, I can pass it to your kids. Some diversification benefits. That's right, because now you have a lot of other things. You may have some property, you may have some money. I get this. Appreciation potential. It could go up a lot. Not every card in Magic goes up a lot, but it could go up. The disadvantages of investing in collectibles. Collectibles are notoriously volatile. Collectibles are not income generating assets. There's no dividend on them. There is a lack of liquidity, which we've talked about before. We've talked about those things. Now, check this out. This is a Starior. 1984? 1984. Tomy Corp. In package. Very old toy. I love my toys in case you guys didn't know. This toy was $4.96 when it was originally put in production. I think I bought it for 20 bucks a number of years ago, and I think it's worth somewhere around $60, $70. This fits the definition of collectible. Okay, it is a collectible, but it is a very tiny market because the people out there who remember Stariors get smaller every year. So the availability of this in the market is very limited. A lot of toys go out of fashion because people forget about them over time. That's why toy companies really try to rehash their toys back up. He-Man's back up. Remember He-Man? He-Man is out there. Because those have been reintroduced, it reignites the flame for He-Man. Same with My Little Pony, Strawberry Shortcake, G.I. Joe, Transformers. See where I'm going with this? They reintroduce it. Magic keeps putting new sets out, which keeps trying to broaden its base, which keeps it relative to what's going on today. A game you can play and keep it collectible. But remember we just said, not every card in the set will fit that definition of collectible. Only certain cards, based on its rarity and availability. When you take a look here, good old Master Chief. Look at that bad boy there. We're going back in the day here. When was this guy out? 2008, I bought this one. So cool. I think it was like $29. Do I know if it's worth a lot more? I actually haven't looked, so I only have one of it, whereas Stariors I have quite a bit. The Master Chief there, epic game, that's why I wanted it. I wanted it because I was really into playing Xbox back then and playing all the series of this wonderful game. But then they took away the 4-player, I lost it, and I've kind of gone off to the wayside. And you sometimes see the Halloween outfit still, but again, it's more of a fad. It kind of comes and goes, waxes and wanes with popularity because people change their minds all the time. The difference between something like this or Stariors or Hatchimals or Lava Darth Vader from Star Wars 2005 is the fact that Magic is more than those things. It's not a fad. It's been around a long time. It is very collectible because people have put billions of dollars into these products and they don't want it to go to zero. So we all stay in it to win it. We stay in to play this game and enjoy it. That keeps that collectability factor up. As Wizards changes the rules and waters things down, it can change our perceptions of what's collectible. Sealed product stays collectible because it stays sealed. Wizards may reprint cards in that set, but they don't reprint the exact set. They don't reprint that exact box of Modern Masters, that exact box of Guilds of Ravnica. It won't come out again. So if you want that nostalgic original feel, it's going to cost you a lot more. But here's a kicker for you. Not all of these Magic sets are worth the same amount of money to the same people. Newer players who may have come in at 2015, they came in around Cons of Tarkir. That set may mean a lot more to them than Ice Age back in the day. They may know Ice Age is an old set. They may look it up on a Wikipedia page and say, "Dude, that's an old set. I've never even heard of it. Those cards are crazy. They look so weak." But they may look at Cons of Tarkir and say, "That set's worth something to me. Do you remember when I pulled those 3 fetch lands out of my box? That was amazing." So different importance factors factor into different players at different parts of their life. So not all these sets have that same collectability factor to the same group of players who play Magic the Gathering. It varies. Everyone knows the power of 9, but that doesn't mean everyone wants to get the power of 9. They may be happy just making a proxy. They may hate the reserve list entirely, want it gone and done, and make reprints so they can actually play in an old series like Vintage and Legacy and enjoy that factor. I mean, they can just make proxies, but that's not the point. They want a real Magic card. It's very interesting when you see things broken down like that to realize there are so many different subsets of what's collectible and what people value in those collectibles. I collect the sealed product. I collect singles, especially reserve list stuff. I do open the new product, but generally speaking, I don't really trade and sell a lot of it. I just keep it for myself. Doesn't mean that it's worthless. It just means I'm not interested in expanding in those areas. When I get a sealed box, I generally keep it sealed because I like the idea of sealed product. It appeals to me. But do all these sets have the same factor? No, like I don't really care about Guilds of Ravnica. It was a fun set. I care a lot more about Dominaria because I had a lot more fun. Remember, your memories can alter how you value something, what you feel is important. You may find something much more important to you because of the feelings you get from that particular product, which can make it collectible to an individual or a small group of individuals. Why do you think a lot of the big whales, even people like Rudy, buy every single set regardless? Because years from now, there'll be at least a subset of player who loved that product. I may not have liked Time Spiral Remastered, but a lot of people who got those cool retro border frames would be like, "Dude, I remember when I cracked that. Oh, I'd love to try again. I'm going to spend $700 and buy a box of that and see if I get lucky." That's what happens 10 years from now when you have more available cash. And that's what a lot of the older players who have built up their equity in these type of products looks forward to, because that collectible is now leaving their collection going to you, and they get to reap some benefit from it. Slow liquidity, but there's still liquidity in the game. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in with me today. I hope you enjoyed my little expansion here on what's collectible and what's not. Magic is collectible, but the variation of its collectability depends on the person and subset of players you're talking to. Thanks a lot for tuning in with me. This is MTG Moxman. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great one today. Hey guys, big shout out to all my patrons out there. Looking forward to seeing you guys each and every day. Thanks again for the continued support. And before you know, we'll all be there together again on a live stream. That's right. Looking forward to it. Have a great one, everyone. We are faced with a dilemma. A serious problem that must be dealt with. I don't know how to tell you guys this. It's difficult. You know what? I'm just going to tell you. Don't get mad. Okay, please. I got to change the background. I've got to access stuff back here. It's really getting difficult to move things. I'm going to get some more bookshelves in. Just don't be mad at me. All right? Like, you guys understand. Deadpool gets it. We got to move some stuff. Just don't be bitter. Okay? Just don't be bitter. I'm going to work at it. And then you guys, you'll have your say. Okay? All right. That was difficult. I was worried about what you guys might say. And then I realized you can't talk back because, it's the end of the video. Cool. See you guys tomorrow.